What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a collaborative EP between Cypress Hill and British dubstep producer Rusko. Basically, this project is called Cypress X Rusko, and it came out in the late spring of 2012. The thing about this particular project, this is a pretty good sensational type one. I'd have to say, definitely like the amalgamation, what kind of happened here. It's basically like Cypress Hill's kind of stoner rap and just kind of more this edgy type style with like some real hip and kind of real warped and distorted kind of EDM and dubstep type sound. It definitely works pretty damn well. Like the concept of this particular project is definitely going to get a rave score, and I just overall enjoyed it. The thing about it was Now, the thing about it was is I didn't know initially about this project prior to like a few weeks ago, I'd have to say, but apparently this was kind of like an in-between type stuff between Cypress Hill's Rise Up album from 2010 and their album Elephants on Acid way out in 2018. So I thought that they had done more than that because it kind of felt like an 8 year gap was kind of a lengthy amount of time, but at least it was kind of more of like a 6.5 year gap as far as that kind of particularly kind of went. But just the thing about it is, I would have to say, is still like Cypress did a pretty good job with this. This is another hit album. I definitely have to say it had some singles on here, which I wasn't aware of as far as that kind of happened. These are definitely two real hip there's two hip singles on here. They definitely amalgamate the format of EDM music as far as that kind of happened in 2012, as far as that kind of went. Definitely some good stuff as far as that kind of goes. So I would have to say about this, some good overall stuff. You can tell right down to the album cover that this is some dope stuff as far as that kind of happens. I just look after it. Just really reminds me of Temples of Boom. It's very distorted, but it keeps the stoner rap type feeling as far as that kind of happens. I definitely think that like the concept of Cypress Hill doing this sort of more nightclub type rap and just overall EDM craze type stuff, just adrenaline rush kind of jolt in the arm type stuff is definitely something that needs to happen more often. Definitely could stand a sequel to this album or more songs like this from Cypress Hill as far as that kind of happens. And Rusko definitely has a good pairing of beats. Like every song, just go ahead and spoil it. This every just to go ahead and spoil it and go ahead and say every song on this EP I recommend. So basically, this EP is going to get a 10 out of 10. But we'll go ahead and talk about the singles here. So the first single is Roll It Light It. This is basically like a pounding kind of EDM crazed hit. I would have to say it's a heavy smoke session and turned up throb of a time, I'd have to say, and the song gets pretty manic. So I definitely like this one. Roll It Light, it's a little bit more turned up and warped than like the second single, Can't Keep Me Down. With Roll It Light, it's a little bit more turned up and warped than Can't Keep Me Down, which is the second single with Damian Marley. But I would definitely have to say this is a pretty nice one. Just an overall kind of jolting and jarring one that just works extremely well. I'd have to say just an overall nice one to kind of have. Definite great smoke session song to kind of have in here, just in a more kind of crazed kind of nightclub and turned up going out kind of sense. But then the second single is Can't Keep Me Down. I'd have to say this is basically like a summary kind of slanted dubstep slash dancehall type tune. I'd have to say it's a smoke a few cut, but this is a smoke a few cut, but it's also a dance heavy cut. I'd have to say, and it's just an overall nice bop. The song is a smoke a few cut, but it's a dance heavy cut, and it's just an overall nice bop. I'd have to say. So this is definitely a nice one. This is a pretty riveting one on here. Damian Marley has a pretty excellent hook on here as far as that kind of happens. Just an overall summary type one for some dubstep craze as far as that kind of happens. This is kind of more in the outdoors as far as that kind of happens. Just some more summery kind of blaze as far as that kind of goes. Not quite a full blown nightclub song, but I feel like it's kind of in like the slanted evening as far as that kind of happens, where you're just maybe a little bit stoned, getting ready to step out and have some fun as far as that kind of goes. Just kind of look after the concept as far as that kind of happens, just a kind of in between type one of outdoor sessions and smoke sessions as far as that kind of goes, but then just stepping out of it and getting ready to have some time. So it's a good one. So those are the two singles. Definitely like the concept. These are some of Cypress Hill's best songs in a while. These are just some real candid moments by Cypress Hill, I'd have to say, and just some overall excellence. I just really enjoyed quite a bit. So I'd have to say this whole album is basically like a shot in the arm, just a real overall jarring kind of jolt of energy that just really kicks ass and just works extremely well as far as that kind of happens. So the other three songs I recommend, which is like the rest of the whole project, I'd have to say, so this EP gets a 10 out of 10. The other songs are Shots Go Off, Let's Go, and Medicated. So basically a pretty trippy one that I really enjoyed was Medicated. This is definitely like a trippy kind of dubstep boiler, I'd have to say. This song has almost kind of techno hypeness, I'd have to say, and it's an easy dance craze, I'd have to say, and it's just these songs are pretty damn durable, I definitely would have to suppose. All of these songs in the album all of these songs in the album have a lot of lastability and just overall catchiness that just works extremely well. And these are just glitzy, they have great productions. These songs are just glitzy, they have great productions, and this Rusko guy just does extremely well as far as I can have. Just would have to say some good stuff overall, I'd have to say. The song Let's Go is a pretty nice one. This is like a snappy kind of warped entry kind of commercial EDM snaz of a song, I'd have to say. It's a thrilling kind of jumper that's crazy, but the album gets a lot hyper, I'd have to say. So this is one that's a pretty hype song, but there's definitely some vigor. This song is pretty crazy, but there's definitely songs on this particular project that get a lot more hype. Like I feel like Medicated and Shots Go Off and Roll It Lighter are three. Like I feel like Medicated, Shots Go Off, and Roll It Lighted are three examples of songs that just get a lot more hype as far as that kind of goes and a lot more craze. But this is a pretty good one. This is pretty much like almost like a good example of what could have been like an EDM kind of commercial single as far as that kind of went, but it wasn't. But it's still a pretty excellent song, I'd have to say. It's just a more kind of entry type song and more commercial kind of candidness. It's just kind of commercial candidness, I would have to say. So Shots Go Off is the last one, and this is basically another excellent one. This is kind of, Shots Go Off is basically like a glitchy kind of night dance craze gem. I'd have to say it's a warped. The song is like a warped kind of electro hopper. I'd have to say it's an easy Kickstarter for a house party, definitely. So this is just a very nice one. Really like the overall craziness of this particular song. So yeah, basically Shots Go Off is like a pretty high praise Kickstarter for like a house party as far as that kind of happens. And it's definitely like some glitch hop, I'd have to say, that just works pretty extremely well, I'd have to say. So it's some good concepts here as far as that kind of happens. So yeah, the score gets a 10 out of 10. The social score gets a 10 out of 10 also, just because the amalgamation of these songs is just overall excellent. They just did a great job. Rusko did a great job on here. Cypress Hill, Send Dog, B-Roll did a great job. It's just some overall excellent stuff as far as that kind of happens. Just social appeal, some candidness, some kind of commercial entry type songs, a kind of summery blaze, some stuff like that. It's kind of summery type feeling, just outdoor fest, just kind of out in the wind and that type of stuff. Out in the wind and the sunlight and that type of stuff. Just some smoke sessions and that sort of jazz as far as that kind of happens. And then some pretty crazy kind of overall heavy night sessions and rave sessions as far as that kind of happens. So it's just some overall social appeal as far as that kind of goes. Definitely like the appeal of it. So 10 social. In terms of the future, like Cypress Hill has been quiet since 2022, which is now a couple of years ago. But I just would have to say the concept of it, they do have a few more projects I'm going to get to. Like I do have Elephants on Acid and then their 2022 album. So we're going to get to some more of these, but I definitely wholesomely basically recommend this project. It's just an extreme one.